We'll turn our attention back to security in the country. Abriyo Dende joins us this morning. He's a security consultant. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you, too.
Well, we did look at this matter yesterday, wherein you have a group of people who are coming together, trying to develop a policy document, upon which security agencies can, one, collaborate, such that they could have that framework that covers the operations, sharing of information, reducing friction amongst them, because they feel that, look, we haven't really had any of such in the country, and they think this is one of the best opportunities, best times that we've had to come up with this policy so that it could define the operations of some of these agencies. How do you see this helping out?
Well, thank you very much. As it is, where what they call security now, or information on security of a state, has been narrowed down to that of the state governor, for example. So what is there to share? Political appointees now dominate situations at all levels. Just like at the federal level, they reduce security of the country to the president's security. So what are you going to be sharing? One. Number two, we seem to have a proliferation of security agencies in Nigeria, whereby overlapping of roles and duties. Remember some of that last year, was it early this year, that some people from civil defense were killed by policemen in Arepo, not far from here, when they went to arrest some people who were stealing fuel. To that extent, I don't know what new thing this will come up with, but if it comes up at all, who is gathering information from what source? Information comes in from either overt to covert means, and of course they are stumbled upon information. So how are they collected, how are they processed, how are they stored, whereby they can be retrieved and then be shared? Those are still fundamental issues.
But some will say that incident that you talked about in Arigbo between police and NSCDC, it was an isolated incident. It's not ingrained. It wasn't an institutional defect and such. It couldn't be cited as such.
Well, whether it was or it wasn't, there have been other unreported cases. By virtue of my practice, we get to hear these things here and there. You're not too unfamiliar with instances of police and the military clashing over very minute, unimportant issues. Why? This one says do this, that one says that. So, and I think it should, even if it must work at all, government should start from the level of collecting information, not deploying now. They must work together to collect information, process the information, of course, store before you can come to and say, okay, let's receive it and then let's share. So who gets what, depending on what assignment each of them has at hand. So
if it is taken for granted that the operations overlap and then hence these clashes, isn't that all the more reason while developing this policy framework?
Yeah, it is not about policy. We have never been lacking in quality policy formulation in Nigeria.
Have we had any?
We've always had
about security agencies?
Yeah, it's always about execution. I mean, you must always remember that at all times you see the IG meeting with chief of army staff and vice versa. When they meet, what do they discuss? They should always talk about intelligence collaboration, and the chief element there now being information sharing. Okay, but where has it taken us? That's what I'm saying. It's not just sharing information now. You must also be a part of collecting the information, gathering the information.
Isn't it one thing for them to meet at either official level, or unofficial level? Isn't it another if there isn't any documented or legislative platform upon which they could share information?
It's not a legislative
Are they mandated to share information by law?
No, it's not about law or not law. It's an operational thing. Okay? You guys are working together. If you pick any information that will aid what you do on Sundays every day, there's no law saying you must tell Maupe or she must tell Danjuma. Okay? But to help your job.
We're usually on the same page. We can say we're in the same ministry. But with those chaps.
Yeah, I understand. They are in the same ministry but in different departments. Army, Navy, Air Force, police, everything's under security. They all come under defense. So what are we talking about?
Do they say it that way?
They should say it that way. So instead of wasting resources on now developing new policies, let them go back to their archives.
You picked up on something.
Yeah.
Do they see it that way? You say they should. It means they don't yet.
Well,
does it? Is that?
Then they certainly need to be educated on why they should say it that way. Okay, instead of wasting resources now developing policies and policies upon policies. We've had all these things over the years.
Which one?
We've had policies being developed over the years.
About sharing
execution is just the issue now.
Which one have we had?
I want to take it at a base level. It's a commonsensical thing. You guys work together for the same territory called Nigeria. So naturally, there should be flow between the different bodies. It's a natural thing. It doesn't require any compulsive investigation.
It's very interesting that you say it's a commonsensical thing, especially when there's a common saying that says that common sense is not so common.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and then sometimes, you know, people say that it's very important that people know their roles, that roles are clearly spelled out, and, you know, there is no confusion as to who should do what in a particular situation. You know, don't you think that, you know, we really do need a policy? Because even the United States, I mean, Nigeria is not peculiar in their problem of not sharing information. A host of countries have also had to wade through that particular challenge of sharing information and, you know, being a lot more alive to their responsibilities. So why not us?
For us as a nation, I may not have the different edicts or decrees establishing the army, police and the others as they may be, but I can tell you, if we go into them, you will see the specifics of what role each of them is supposed to perform. There shouldn't be any question about that. So
you're talking about going back to the acts of establishing this?
If we can go back to the act and these are not clearly stated, which I doubt, the people who framed the laws that established them, they were not daft. So they would have certainly included that. Otherwise, why set them up in the first place?
But, you know, also considering how things have worked in terms of implementation, practicality, and we've seen that, you know, that cooperation has oftentimes been lacking. Will it be out of place then to say, considering how we've practiced, you know, our cooperation, I think it's high time we sit and spell things out so that we have less of this confusion and less of friction?
How many times have we sat? How many times have we spelled things out? How many times have they been implemented?
Does it matter how many times?
America that you mentioned, they have a central body that handles information. They may have the imperfections, but it's not like the crisis that we have here.
How?
And yeah, the CIA.
We do remember that
the CIA,
when they had the 9/11,
the CIA takes charge of information in America.
No, but Mr. You know, when they had the 9/11 matter, one of the things that stuck out like a sore thumb was lack of sharing of information. As good as they were at the time,
that they may have the imperfections. The example you made is an instance of one of the imperfections, but it still does not mean they don't have a framework in place.
They didn't have that, they had to come together and develop it.
They had a framework, but like I said,
of sharing information.
I mean, usually things done by human beings are never perfect. You always look for ways to improve time in, time out. But for us here, I may want to even narrow it down to ego, institutional egos. Remember the control of military into politics in Nigeria. Suppressed the police, for instance. They became more like a dispensable unit of government. Now they are just struggling to get back into reckoning. If you look at them individually, socially, they have internal problems, which of course must be tackled before you can now say, let's now talk of...
which of them have internal problems?
Virtually all the different units of the security agencies have problems.
The thing is, in spite
of...
of...
those are taken care of, we can now move and say, okay,
Mr. Dende,
how do we work together?
Mr. Dende, in spite of the internal problems of whichever of the security agencies you want to refer to, the truth is they still have to do their jobs.
Of course, yes.
We don't want to know that they have internal problems.
Of course,
and we're seeing many issues. You just cited one now, the recent fracas between the NSCDC and the police. We're seeing many issues of, you know, obvious rivalry, which is totally unacceptable. You don't think it's time that, in spite of whatever problems may be in-house, we should also be looking for solutions to see how we can cooperate practically?
I like the use of that word, rivalry. Okay? There is no basis for rivalry between them. Rather, they should collaborate. But the Arepo incident, findings later revealed that there was a deal between the perpetrators of the crime and then one of the arm of the agencies. They were providing them cover, whereas other people went there, the other agency went there to go and effect an arrest. That's why I said they must sort out their internal issues first before they can now push out their people and say, okay, this is where we are going, and then we are working with all of these people. For as long as we have those instances, we may just be wasting. I keep saying it.
I think
we
it's
are not lacking in policy frame or framework or whatever, but execution is the issue. We should be looking at sitting them together and specifically spelling out to each of them, I mean the heads now, okay, what they're supposed to do, and then insist on maybe creating some handbooks that will work all the way down to the list of the people in the unit,
well,
showing them what they should be doing. For example, you see policemen on Lagos streets directing traffic holding guns.